European countries are once more stepping up COVID-19 restrictions, aiming to contain the spread of the virus. Infections have risen 44% across the continent over the last week. New rules in Italy start today, and local representatives have been given new powers to restrict public gatherings as the daily cases in the country hit a new record, with over 11,000 new infections on Sunday. Evelyn Laverick has more on the situation across the continent.
Italy has announced a raft of new restrictions, including later start times and distance learning for high school pupils. It follows a surge in daily COVID-19 cases. Mayors will also get powers to close public areas after 9 p.m, and the opening times of restaurants and the size of groups allowed will tighten. Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte said the measures were needed to avoid a new lockdown.
We cannot lose time. We need to react by putting into action all measures necessary to avoid another general lockdown. The country cannot allow itself to come to another stop, which would severely compromise the entire economy.
Switzerland is also joining a growing list of countries tightening restrictions as a second wave of infections sweeps Europe. From today, it's compulsory to wear masks in closed public spaces, railway stations, airports, bus and tram stops. Gatherings are also being restricted to no more than 15 people. In Germany, pub owners have expressed their fears for the future in the city of Hamburg after a curfew came into force at the weekend.
Politicians must definitely come up with something to support the bar owners here because, I mean, here with such a club you have an enormous running cost. In order to open, you have to raise a lot of money each day. So for us, this will be a very difficult time.
In Prague, thousands of people rallied against restrictions such as enforced mask wearing. What began peacefully later turned violent. There's anger at the increasingly strict limitations introduced in response to the soaring number of infections in the Czech Republic, currently the worst hit in Europe by head of population. Evelyn Laverick, Euronews.
Well, for more on the new restrictions in Italy, let's head to Rome to speak to our correspondent Giorgia Orlandi. Giorgia, morning to you. So we heard the Prime Minister there saying we want to avoid another total lockdown, so new measures are in place. Just talk us through what they are.
Good morning, Rosie. Well, yes, last night Prime Minister Conte introduced new restrictions, mainly targeting non-essential services and gatherings. We know that not that long ago, actually, the government approved a new decree introducing new anti-COVID rules. So these latest measures are going to integrate those existing ones. Now, with regards to bars and restaurants opening hours, these won't change. So they will have to close at midnight. What's going to change is that after 6 p.m., they will only be able to serve customers at tables, and only a maximum of 6 people will be allowed to sit together at bars and restaurants. Takeaway services will be allowed until midnight, and some news concerning cities across the country, as mayors will be allowed to order the closure of public spaces, streets and squares after 9 p.m. And some news regarding gyms. Now, this has been quite a well-debated issue. In fact, the government has given all gyms owners a week time to implement anti-COVID measures. Otherwise, the government might actually decide to close all gyms. And then the government also called for all schools to provide both online and in-person lessons wherever possible. And then parties, festivals, conferences will all be suspended except for those that actually where social distancing is being respected. Now, Prime Minister Conte also clarified that it's not possible to apply the same rules that applied during the first lockdown. The reason being, Rosie, that yes, it's important, he said, to protect people's health, but also the country's economy. Rosie?
Giorgia, thank you very much. Our correspondent there in Rome.